Hi, it's CJ from It's CJ here. 4 years ago, I started this YouTube channel, and 47, well, now 48 videos later, I feel like I've done a lot and a little. Since the number is still somehow under 50, it isn't too absurd to do this, so here's a fun fact about every public video on this channel, not including shorts. This video was made when I couldn't come up with what I wanted to do for the channel yet, so I literally just put everything. This video is the only video I animated using Canva since I was learning about it for a class. It's very outdated, and I basically never did storytelling on this channel, and it's really ugly and bad. Also, over a year and a half after this video was posted, I was taking an animation class, and my dad, wanting to show my prior animation skills, showed my, of all videos, this one. The reason this video has no audio is because I didn't know how my screen recording software worked at the time. This is also the last video I made before I decided animation would be the main focus for the channel.
Say next Canada, Mexico, Honduras, and
I genuinely thought this was going to catch on and be the next thing, but I'm so glad it didn't. Despite seeming as such, this is actually my second object show ever. My first one was never made public. Don't worry, I'll release a couple of episodes someday. This video leaned too much into comedy, and 2/3 of the video is completely false. I've been wanting to make an updated version, but I've never gotten around to it. This was my favorite video on the channel until Interesting Objects 3. It is also the last video of the pre-Flip-A-Clip era, and I'd say it serves as a good send-off. I hate that this video got popular. It was a test animation for Flip-A-Clip, but the amount of attention it got annoyed me since the video was really bad, and it was the last video I posted before I grew out of my geography era. Try to guess why this video was made! If you guessed the CapCut test, how the hell did you guess that? But yes, this is the only video on my channel that uses CapCut. My go-to editing software now is iMovie. This episode was animated on one layer because I didn't know what those were at the time. This means that every time I wanted to change a limb placement or facial expression, I either had to tediously draw over the hand-drawn assets or just redraw the whole frame. Also, this episode, along with episodes 2, 3, and 4A, had no script at all. When I first uploaded this video, one of my friends thought it was the second episode and was disappointed I didn't finish an episode in a week. I actually had to be somewhere the day this video had to come out, and it was entirely made that day. So I was frantically speeding to get this video out. It was crazy. The name for this episode is based off the Rhythm Heaven minigame Toss Boys. Originally, the episode was going to be called Frizz Being in a Situation, but it was scrapped a few days before release. Also, here's a prototype thumbnail I drew in my homeroom in 7th grade. Isn't it cool? This was my first reference to another object show on my channel, and I knew many of my friends and family wouldn't know that, so I had to stress this wasn't a new intro. This was also the last video I posted before I went on my first ever hiatus because I got busy with school. This is the best episode title on this channel. 2023 was when I was truly cooking, and this is still a great start. This animation is kinda disgusting. Genuinely forgot I made this one in the first place. I love this intro because I intentionally made it super long so it would be way longer than the episodes. It's also just like actually good. I had a really hard time making a good thumbnail for this video, which is why for over a year it was this. Also, the reason this was the last video of my weekly upload, April, was because the episode was nowhere near done when I decided it would be released at the end of the month. It was finished very close to that April 29th deadline. This episode was animated 2 months before the other ones, which is why the intro isn't present. This episode was animated in less than 20 minutes. This is the most boring of all the Assad episodes. The thumbnail for this episode originally said 4 instead of 3, but I didn't want to remake the thumbnail, so I just awkwardly drew over it. This is the worst performing video on my channel. I guess people don't like death, huh? This was one of my favorite videos to make. It's genuinely really funny and stupid. While I was wrapping up IO3, I came up with the plan for the entire story of Interesting Objects, all the way up to its finale. That makes this the first episode with story and genuine character development in mind, even if it's really short. Originally, CJ and Dottie were supposed to walk onto the screen, but I didn't know how to do walk cycles at the time, so I just had the camera pan towards their feet. This episode sucks. The pacing is terrible, and the comedy doesn't really hit very well. There's also audio problems and stuff, it's just a mess. Despite this, though, the episode is really important to the quote-unquote lore of the show, so I feel it's still a necessary piece of the show. I have no idea why this wasn't a community post. I had access to it at the time. I just didn't use it here. This episode is like addicting for me to watch, and I don't know why. Should I bring this show back, by the way? Season 1 was a lot of fun, so I've been on the fence for the past few months about digging this one out of the grave. This episode has a small case of IO4B where the pacing is a little bad, and in my opinion, this is probably the most skippable episode of the show. It's kinda boring. Also, there was originally supposed to be a song in the episode, but I replaced it with a construction montage because I gave up. Here's the lyrics if you're curious. I love how silly this little animation is. It truly feels up to par with what I make today, despite being made over 2 years ago. This was also the first video I animated in HD, which I know nobody cares, but to me it was a big deal. It's funny how this show consistently marks my return from a hiatus, but anyways, this episode was the longest episode I had ever made at the time, by over 3 minutes. But there was an old version of the episode that was 15 minutes long! The reason why was because I flipped through the slides way too slow, which made the pacing absolutely terrible. I talked about this on my second channel, but this is the reason why IO6 took so long to upload. I finished it in January of 2024, but procrastinated on this video and didn't release the episode for another 4 months. I go more into depth on this video in my other video. I was so glad to be finished with this episode because it meant I could go back to making challenges and eliminations and stuff. Not to say I didn't like the prison arc, I just prefer the basic show. This was before I knew I was going to spend 14 months of my life at the next episode. This video was played on a movie screen in front of a live audience. It is, as of now, the only video of mine to do that. Also, this video won't stop growing, it's old now. This is currently the only video on my channel that is banned in certain countries due to the song I used. Maybe hashtag Kill the Muppets is a bit bigger of a movement than I thought. Despite this just being an announcement video, I really had a fun time just messing around. Genuinely, this is peak CJ writing. The reason why this episode uses Flippaclip's AI voiceover feature for the last few lines is because Flippaclip glitched and wouldn't show me any other options besides their AI voice option. I later learned that the audio library, voice recorder, and audio import buttons still existed, they were just invisible. The glitch still exists to this day. The AI voices actually caused a whole scene to be cut out of the end of the video, but I cut down the runtime, so whatever. This video was sort of to serve as a reminder that TAFOS still exists to help bring up the vote count. It didn't help. Speaking of which, TAFOS 4's voting is still up until March 1st. You can vote once a month, so if you already voted, vote again. And if you didn't vote, vote! Then come back next month and do it again, and again, and again, and again, and again. This episode was recorded with Chrome OS's built-in screen recorder. I didn't realize how low the frame rate was until right before the episode released, and I didn't have time to change it, which is why it looks kinda gross. I came up for the idea of this video while I was in the shower one day, and it was so good I had to animate it. This is also the only video on my channel without an object show based art style, which I actually really like, and will probably use it in more videos if I can. This video went through development hell, as I could not gain motivation by the middle to animate it knowing how much more was still left. I also just was being scared to reach out to people and ask for lines because I get scared over literally everything. Oh, that's good for the phobias video. Let me write that down. The one change in this episode is that the AI voices were removed and I actually voiced over them. Also, general episode stats here, the script was 22 pages, and if I'm not mistaken, 5 scenes were cut entirely from the episode, mostly from part 2. This is version 4.0 and not just 4, because there was actually a version 3.1, but I don't think anyone noticed. So, just in case, it's 4.0. This is the first time I've ever been proud of my lip syncing job in an animation. It's the only one that I can look at without wincing at how bad it is. Like, you would not believe how many times I've started lip syncing something, watched it back, and erased it all. And no, there will not be lip sync in IO unless I deem it necessary. It's just wasted time. And that's it. Thank you everyone for sticking with me over the past 4 years. Even though I frankly didn't stick with you because I kept disappearing. It's crazy I started this channel in 6th grade and now I'm a sophomore in high school. Well, here's to 4 more years of it, CJ, and for the 3rd time, I should probably start on IO8, huh?
So thank you for 4 awesome years.